We visited Malta in 2018, but in honor of Malta reopening for tourists from the COVID-19 pandemic June 1st, we are going to share some of the amazing places in Malta. This beautiful country is relatively unknown to many Americans, but is popular among Europeans, especially in the summer. Malta is a chain of islands in the Mediterranean between Italy and Africa. Even though it's a small country, we had plenty to see and do during our 5-day stay and could have stayed even longer. Malta is an archipelago between Italy and Africa, with 3 main islands, Malta, Gozo, and Comino. We started our visit on the main island, Malta, and stayed just outside the city walls of Valletta. After our flight, we were ready to start exploring, so we started off visiting the beautiful natural pool in the ocean called St. Peter's Pool. Only 30 minutes from Valletta, this swimming spot was one of my favorites. You'll pass through the fishing village of Marshalsloch on your way, so it's worth a stop for fresh seafood and views of colorful traditional Maltese fishing boats. On day 2, we started off at the ruins of the Hajarim and Nidra temples. These UNESCO World Heritage Sites date back to somewhere between 3600 and 3200 BC. Entrance is €10 per person and also includes access to a museum. Just 5 minutes down the road is the Blue Grotto. The sea caves and clear blue water is best admired from a boat, so you won't want to miss the boat tour for €8. Since visiting in November, we tried to pick the warmest, sunniest day for our trip to the incredible Blue Lagoon. One of the most popular sites on Malta, even in the winter, was super crowded. The ferry from Marfa only cost €10 round trip. The Blue Lagoon is part of the island of Comino. There is one resort hotel and the rest of the small island is practically uninhabited. Once a hideout for pirates, the shallow, clear water is a beautiful light blue. On our 4th day in Malta, we spent the morning exploring the capital city of Valletta. Don't miss the firing of the cannons every day at noon and 4. We just barely missed them, but could hear them as we ran to the Upper Baracca Gardens. These gardens have great views as well. In the afternoon, we took a ferry across the bay to the more modern city of Slima and walked along the coast. In the evening, we took a ferry to the more rural island of Gozo. The ferry to Gozo is free, but you pay on your way back to Malta since I guess they figure you have to go back at some point. In Gozo the next morning, we started off visiting where the Azure Window used to be. This arch was seen in Game of Thrones and unfortunately collapsed in 2017. The inland sea is a short walk from the collapsed arch, and when it's not too windy, boat tours are offered. We checked back 2 days in a row, but it was windy both days. On our way to the other side of Gozo, we stopped at the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Blessed Virgin of Tepnu. This beautiful basilica has mosaics outside and was crowded with locals on a Sunday morning. We hiked along the coastal gorge of Wadi Larsi and explored the salt pans before stopping for lunch. We spent the rest of the afternoon on the red sand of Ramla Beach. Gozo is much smaller than Malta, but it's easier to get around with a car. On the main island of Malta, public transportation is available, although often unreliable, and a car is convenient there as well. The next day, with our flight to Rome in the evening, We headed back to the island of Malta and stopped by the amusement park Popeye's Village for pictures from the cliff above. The set of the 1980s musical film was turned into a theme park. On our way to the airport, we stopped at the old capital of Malta, Medina, also a walled medieval city, but very few cars are allowed on the narrow streets, meaning you'll have to find parking outside and walk in to explore this beautiful city.